Subtraction, once again, the word essential means very important. So it's important to line up the places. We have this problem, 78 minus 42, 81 minus 36. Let's try this one first. It's a little bit easier. Okay, in the ones place, we're subtracting 2 from 8. That's one way to look at it. What's 8 take away 2? Oftentimes our teachers say in the early grades. Or another way of looking at it is, if you're going from 8 to 2, how far would it be? What's the difference between these two numbers? And the answer is 6, because only 6 can be added to 2 to get back to 8 again. There's an important new way of looking at it in the intermediate grades. Okay, we have 7 tens. We can take 4 tens from it, and we'll be left with 3 tens. So our 70 take away 40 is 30. But we don't have to think about the whole value. We can just take the single digits that are in that place. Okay, that looks like a right answer. Now let's move over here to the little bit more challenging one. And it's challenging right from the very beginning, because in order to work with positive numbers, you cannot take a larger number at the bottom from a larger number at the top. You can do it when you're doing negative numbers, but this is a big positive number taking away a smaller positive number. Okay, so what do? Well, I guess we test whether or not you understand how to borrow, or sometimes I like to say just take, from a larger place to help you out when you don't have enough to do your subtraction. As is the case here. We can't subtract 6 from 1. It's not large enough. We could with a negative number, but that's for a later time. So, what do? We take a look at the tens place. Is there anything there that could help us out? Yes, we could take one of those groups of 10 and bring it over here. Nothing would be lost by doing that. We would just change the look of it a bit. Okay, so let's take a look at what that actual change would be. 81 is 80 plus 1. But we need some more value over here in the ones place. So what we do is we reconstruct the number. We take one group of 10 away, and that'll change it to 70, and bring it over here where we need it, and add it with the one that was already there, and now 10 plus 1 makes 11. All right, let's see how it looks in the algorithm. Usually we use a cross out the 8. It's no longer going to be 8. We're going to take one away. It's going to be now 7 groups of 10. That one group of 10 is coming over here to the ones place, and temporarily, I know this isn't the way we normally write it because we need to do this temporarily, the 10 that we borrowed or took and added on to the one that was already here makes 11. And now that's what we need to do the subtraction work. 11 subtract 6 is 5, and 7 subtract 3 in the tens place is 4. And that's the conclusion of it. Now here's another way of looking at, like I was talked about earlier, looking at subtraction as the difference between two numbers. The starting number was 80, and subtract 36. It would be true that if you had 81 and you took 36 away, you'd have 45. But if you want to think of it another way, really the question is, how far is it from the starting number 81 to 36? And it's a distance of 45. So the subtraction really shows that. Okay, if you have your number being subtracted and your answer, the two of them should add together and come back to be the starting number. And that would be true in this case. Let's actually take an algorithm where we add these two things and see if it isn't true that we come up to 81. Okay, here's the algorithm. All right, we have the number that we started off with, the answer, the difference. We're going to put them together and see if it isn't true that it comes up to the original number 81. Okay. All right, we're going to add 5 and 6, and we're going to get 11. The 1 will stay. The group of 10 must be carried over, spill over, as we talked about in the other video. Now we have 110 plus 4 is 5 plus 3 is 8. It works. So we'll use that later on too. Okay, if you think you can do either one of these problems or both of the problems, maybe you should see if you can quickly grab a piece of paper. You can pause the video, do the problem, and then come back and check the work. Okay, if you're back or if you just stayed on with us to see the outcome of the problem, let's see if you agree with the way it's done. Let's take the first one here. All right, we're subtracting first in the ones place. From the bottom number, 6 can be taken from 7, or we know that there's a difference of 1 between 6 and 7, with nothing to borrow or take that time. We do have a problem here now. 5 can not be taken from 4. If you have 5 tens, you can't take it from only 4 tens. So we go to the hundreds place for help. We take that 100 there. That will give us 10 tens. We bring it over here, and now we have 14 tens. Plenty enough to take away 5. When we do that, 14 subtract 5, the answer is 9. Okay, that seemed to work out pretty well. All right, let's go over here, and this is a little bit more difficult because the ones place does not have enough in the top number to take away the bottom 6, and the tens place also falls into the same situation. 3 is not big enough to subtract 4. So look what we do here. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it place by place, but I like to recommend that you do it this way. Okay, we go way over to the hundreds place, and we take one of those hundreds. Okay, we add 5, that will leave us 4. We take the 100 over here to the tens place and turn it into tens. Well, 100 is 10 tens, so if we put the 10 with the 3, we get 13 tens now. But remember, we also need to borrow a 10 to get it over here to the ones place. Okay, we borrow a 10, that leaves us 12 tens, and that 1 10 will give us the 10 ones, which go with the 1 1 that was already here. And now we're all set up and ready to just do the simple subtraction facts that will bring us to the conclusion. Okay, 11 subtract 6 is 5. 12 take away 4, subtract 4 is 8. And now back to the 4 hundreds, take away the 2 hundreds is 2. So 531 subtract 246 is 285. Now let's just check that, take that same problem. Here's the same problem with the answer. And I'm going to use a checking method. And the checking method sort of goes back to that demonstration that I gave you before. The number that was subtracted plus the number that you ended up with, called the difference, should be able to go back together and give you the original starting number. All right, well, what would that mean? What do you have to do? Well, you need to add them together. We can do it right in the problem here. We're going to add these two now. See if we don't get that top number. That will be a check and give us a lot of confidence that we did do the problem correctly. All right, let's add these ones place first. 6 plus 5 is 11. Let's carry the 1. You might want to do this as a separate problem, but this is one way of doing it. Okay, now we're in the tens place. We have 1 10, 4 tens, 8 tens for a total of 13. Okay, the 3 tens can stay here, but the 10 tens will have to form a group of 100 and spill over to the hundreds place. And 1 plus 2 is 3, and 2 more make 500, and there you go. The result of adding those two numbers together came back to the number you started with. So it works, and it's a great way to check to see if you are correct or not. Let's try another problem. You might want to see if you can find a piece of composition paper somewhere. Copy down the problem. You can pause this for a while and see if you can finish it, and then come back and check your work. Now, notice that I've said use line paper and check for accuracy. Well, there's a couple of ways to check for accuracy. You can go over the problem again after you've finished, or you can use that checking method that we just talked about. That's where the answer that you get added to this number, because this is the difference between these two. These two put together should bring you back to the number you started. Well, give it a try. Come back and check your work. Well, whether you stayed with us or you're just back after doing your own problem, if you were writing it out, it should look like this on your paper. Okay, there's the 407. Subtract 189. Okay, we put a line across and we begin to do our work. Now this is a challenging one because once again you can't take 9 from 7. 8 certainly won't be able to be taken from 0. So we need to go once again all the way over to this hundreds place and borrow one of those hundreds. Okay, well, so what was 400 is now 300, and we bring over 10 tens. 100 equals 10 tens, so the 0 that's there with the 10 makes the total of 10. All right, we take one of those 10, will leave us 9 now, and bring it over to the ones place, and 10 plus 7 is 17. All right, we're now ready to do our work. 17 minus 9 leaves 8. 9 minus 8 leaves 1, and 3 take away 1 leaves 2. So we're left with this answer that looks pretty accurate, but if you want to really double check it, make a check problem out of it by adding the number that you subtracted with the answer that you got, and you should recreate that starting number. Let's see if we do or not. 9 plus 8 is 17. Okay, the 10 of course gets carried over to the tens place. 1 and 8 and 1 make 10 tens. 10 tens is 100, so the 0 stays there and the 100 goes over to the hundreds place. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 more is 4, and how about that? That was the original number, 407. It worked.